Hi guys, this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. So we are here for another one of our mass making sessions. And what I thought we could do today is make some of these pockets. I don't really know how to describe these other than they're the type of pockets that you would get typically if you were to buy a kit. So I thought we could just make some of these. Super simple, you know, really, I mean, like nothing required other than your scissors and your paper and maybe like a bone folder. Of course, you're going to need more things, glue and what have you, if you want to decorate them. But if you're not planning on decorating, seriously, you know, you really need very little to do this project. You may like to have a ruler, depending on if you, you know, are someone who likes to measure, really. I mean, I don't, as you know, so I probably won't use a ruler. So yeah, bring along your card and your papers and what have you, and your scissors and your bone folder. If you haven't got a bone folder, I just use the handle of my scissors and I find that that works just as well. You may like to have a circle punch for if you're going to do thumb holes in the top of your pockets. And I think that's kind of pretty much it. So let's get cracking. So these kinds of pockets, I mean, as I say, I don't measure, but you can probably see from this, it's not far off a 6x6. This is just a piece of paper from a 6x6 paper pad. So it's quite a good one for using up those 6x6 paper pads. I'm just going to move this stuff out of the way. So that you've not got obviously so much stuff here to be distracting the view. So if I just, you know, demonstrate here, I'm just going to cut this probably like, you know, the top 1.5 inches off. So bearing in mind, this is like a 6x6 paper pad. And I'm just going to slice off like the top inch or so, like that. Now, obviously, I mean, I tend to make my journals from A4 sheets of paper, i.e., you know, regular copy size paper, and just folding them in half. So if I just kind of show you what I mean here. This is obviously too wide. Obviously, it's going to be folded in, but it depends how large you want your pocket. So if you want your pocket slightly smaller, you may just want to trim off just a little fraction from the sides, or from one of the sides. Like that. Okay, now completely up to you how you do this part. I'm going to just fold the bottom up. Oops, that's my nail varnish now coming off onto the paper, so that's not a great start here for the video. I've only just painted my nails ready for the video, so it's obviously still very tacky. So that's my bottom line, and then all I'm going to do is unfold that and then fold over my side flaps. Again, I'm not measuring or anything, and you know, so I'm not too worried really whether they're identical sizes or not. I mean, basically you're just looking to have a sort of pocket like that. I mean, as you can see, I've made a hideous job there of folding at the bottom. But again, I mean, I'm really not too worried because, to be honest, by the time you decorate this, that's really not going to be very visible. And then what I quite like to do is just where you've got your like double fold, that corner piece, I just go straight across with my scissors. Now, I'm not saying that this is the correct way to do that, or this, but that's the way that I find works for me. And that's it. That's all there is to making these pockets, and they're just the most awesome pocket then on your page. As I say, I mean, that bottom section, I will hopefully do the next one slightly straighter, but I'm really not worried because that will be covered up anyway once it's decorated. And then obviously at that point, if you want to pop a thumb hole in the top, this is just a 1-inch circle punch. Just, you know, again, sort of place it where you think is approximately the middle. And just pop out you know, a half circle like that. So again, if I just take, this is a 12 by 12 sheet, and I'm just going to chop it straight down the middle. Middle-ish. Okay, and then I'm just going to cut my top section off like that. Okay, and then I'm going to just cut it in to approximately where I would want the pocket. So if we do it like that, and then this one, let's do this one, sort of taking it down like that. Bearing in mind, you might want to keep like a page on hand for this, so you can double check how big these are going to be on your page, just so you've got sort of something as a guide there. So again, I'm just going to fold up my bottom piece. I mean, of course, if you've got a scoreboard, you may want to score along the bottom, and that will probably enable you to get a much neater fold. But I mean, that one, as you can see, you know, it's a lot straighter than the other one, so it's fine. I'm just going to trim it down slightly more because it's at the moment slightly too big. Like that. Okay, and then I'm just going to again unfold my flap and then just fold in my couple of sides. And I mean, they're folded in again, you know, there's no exact science to this, so just fold them in as much as is easy to do, if you see what I mean. You know, if you are someone who finds small things very fiddly, you may need to have slightly bigger folds. You know, it's all good. They're all going to work just as well. So again, take that piece where you've got your, you know, that square bit where your fold meets the fold, if that makes sense. And again, just chop off straight across like that. And that's it. That's your pocket done. So again, that's your pocket then for your page. Again, if you want to pop a thumb hole in, and sometimes I like thumb holes and sometimes I don't, you know, just kind of depends really. So it's quite nice to make a few different ones, you know, some with the hole and some without. But that's how that is then, you know, on the page. So we'll just do another one. Again, I'm just going to take it down slightly because it's looking a little bit monstrous. And I'll just take it in slightly here at the bottom as well. And that's another thing, is obviously these can be made, you know, any size. So, I mean, you could make these as tall, skinny ones. You can make them as these square ones, or you could make them as little tiny ones. You know, completely play around and see what's, you know, what you like to do best. So just there, fold that over. Not sure how straight I got that, I have to be honest, but you know, so again, I mean, if you've got a scoreboard, obviously that may be, you know, better for getting, you know, a straighter edge. And then unfold, and again, just snip across at your corners like that and like that. And again, there's your pocket. So this one, for instance, I'm not going to put a thumb hole in, and I will just leave the top. And then, you know, when you come to use your pocket, or, you know, if you were decorating your pockets now, you could just finish the top of your pocket with some lace or something like that. So, you know, lots of different options that you can use these pockets with. So if we do a tall one now, just to kind of demonstrate the different types really. So I've got the same piece of paper, you know, the same pattern of paper. And if I just snip it here, and then I'm just going to snip it down this edge slightly. Like that. And then exactly the same, so you're just folding the bottom up like that. And again, just then squish that in. Now if I want this sort of narrower, I may want to trim this in slightly more. Just sort of checking basically how this would be. It might be okay actually. So if I just then fold my sides in like that. Okay. I don't think I've made a very straight job of that either now. Oh, I'm not doing a very good job of these today. We'll just fold that one in there like that. Okay, and just then again squish that down, cut your snippety corners like that, and that one. Oops, just to give you, you know, the idea really. And there you've got obviously a tall pocket like that. And again, exactly the same. So you could make this a slanty pocket if you wanted to. I personally would probably just make it exactly the same and now snip it across if I wanted to do that. I wouldn't muck about trying to cut my piece of paper first, but that's just, you know, personal preference and how you want to work. You could also have these, you know, if you wanted something like, how would you describe this? A long pocket butt at the side. So you would do it exactly the same as this one, but instead of folding these two sides, you would fold these two. So perhaps we'll do one of those to demonstrate what I'm talking about. Well, actually, let's just finish off this last piece of paper first. So again, let me just snip the top off. By the top, I mean that white strip, you know, where it was on a 12 by 12 paper pad. So again, let's just do a teeny one here. So again, just fold your flap up at the bottom. Do it with your bone folder, and then you can just come in. So again, I just want to see roughly how big this will be. Okay, because I want it sort of a smaller, skinny one. So just squish that side in, and then the other side as well, like that. Okay. So I suppose really the message here is these can be altered according to what size pieces of paper scraps that you're using. So if you've got, you know, taller, slimmer scraps, you could use these, or, you know, use them to make taller, skinnier pockets, if you see what I mean. Oops, now struggling to even hold this. Goodness knows what's going on. Like that. So, you know, just alter them around according to the scraps that you've got. Again, I've made a dreadful job of folding that at the bottom. But again, you know, that's fine, because obviously once I decorate it, it will be disguised. Or, you know, might even be able to adjust the folding slightly now to just disguise that. Yeah, I mean, that looks a little bit better. You know, so that's that shape one. So I've got just some printables here, which I will obviously do some more to show you some others. So this one here, I printed double-sided with the plain page, but as you can see, my printer was then running out of ink on the back. So I've got that weird colour now going on. So if we wanted to do like one of those sideways on ones, we would again just cut this down Now this is regular A4 size. A4 size over here is like 8¼ by 11.69 inches. So I think it's kind of similar to the American, I think you would call it legal size. Yeah, I think it's kind of the similar size to that. You know, it's the equivalent to that. So again, just fold your, this is going to be your long side flap, but what I would have called previously the bottom flap. I like to start with the bottom flap because I think it gives you a guide of where to fold your sides in. But again, do it, you know, as you find suits you best. So you may find that, you know, you find it easier to fold the sides in first or something like that. So again, if I fold my sides in, this is going to pretty much be the whole length of the page. If I don't want it quite as big as the whole page, I can just trim that down slightly. Because obviously, even with, you know, the sides being folded in, it would still be a pretty ginormous pocket. So just adjust it, you know, to how big or small you actually want it to be. Now this has been printed on 200 GSM card. So this is quite thick. This was obviously a 12 by 12 paper pad. Doesn't feel as thick as this. Maybe it was like 180 GSM or something like that. I personally wouldn't make these from copy paper thickness. That's just me. I think that would be very flimsy and I would tear it. If you are not so, you know, clumsy as me, you maybe would be fine to use copy paper. The same with book pages. Book pages I would find quite flimsy for this project unless you're going to double them up, and then they would work fine. So that's your pocket there, which again you would glue on obviously those 3 flaps and pop it onto your page like that, and then you'd have a side loading pocket. And obviously because you've got the flaps, they're going to make your pocket really big, so you could get something quite chunky into these pockets. So I just think they're a really nice one. You know, not only are they dead simple to make, you know, super simple, super quick and easy, they're actually really practical. So this one here, this is some watercolour paper that I've got. I haven't tried this, I've got to confess. I don't know quite how it's going to take to the folding over. Yeah, I don't honestly know. Let's give it a whirl and see. So I'm just deciding, let's fold it up here along this edge in the first instance, like that. Okay, it's not folded too bad, to be fair. I mean, it is quite thick. So I would probably, if I were to use this, I would probably use this somewhere like the cover. You know, the inside or the outside. Sorry, not the outside, because I don't tend to put pockets very often on the outside. But the inside of either the front or the back cover. Because they tend to be slightly more robust. You know, they'd be thicker for holding this. Because I think the watercolour paper, it's making it quite a hefty piece, if that makes sense. So I mean, to have this on a page, even if you're doing, you know, what I like to do is use the intermixing of the thickness of the papers, I personally would still think this is quite a thick, heavy piece. I mean, that's, again, that's just my opinion. And I mean, I'm just literally using this watercolour paper because I had this, you know, and I've had it for ages. So it's a good one to just get it out of my way, really. I wouldn't necessarily go and buy it to make this project, but Anyway, so that's another pocket. Again, just trim it down as need be. So I'm just going to trim this down and make it a bit shorter because it's quite large at the moment. There we go. Okay, so and we'll just continue on in the same vein. Now this is a bit thinner. This is 160 GSM, so this is as thin as I would probably go with these, to be fair. Yeah, I mean that's just me, and you know, of course, do what works for you, but personally I would probably not go any thinner than this for this type of thing. So this one, I'll just decide we could do like one of those long tall pockets perhaps. So let's just trim that off there. Okay, so probably I can stop going on now about the process that we're using. I best just check that I'm filming and I'm in frame. Okay, so far so good. Yeah, I'll stop waffling on now about what we're doing because I'm pretty sure, you know, it's not overly complicated and probably everyone's very au fait with what we're doing. Yeah, I just thought these were a fun one, and actually they're so quick and so easy. You know, these might just be like a winning pocket, to be honest. You know, we'll get through tons of these in this mass making video, I've no doubt. So as you can see, I mean, this is a really tall, skinny pocket. But again, you know, sometimes that's nice, and that's just what you need, isn't it? So, but as you can see, this is quite flimsy because it's that 160 GSM. So, you know, for me personally, this is as thin as I would want to go, probably, with the paper. There we go. So I'll just pop that out of the way. And then obviously I've got the other half of that paper, so might just do like one going this way now. Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? I'll have to have it this way. So I hope everyone's doing well. I hope you're all staying safe, and you know, that time is not passing too slowly for you guys. The sun is shining. It's absolutely gorgeous today. I'm filming this today, Monday, so the day before I'm actually uploading this video, which, you know, I'm often filming sort of in advance, so this is quite nice to do a video that's actually going to be going up quite soon after I'm actually filming it. Yeah, it's lovely and sunny, and oops, this is still huge. We're supposed to be having a lovely week of weather this week, and this week is actually, you know, what would have been the school holidays, so the kids would have been home on this week anyway, regardless. And I mean, obviously they're home anyway now, but yeah, the good news is no homeschooling going on this week. Yay! I have to say that was hard work. I mean, obviously it will probably be going on again. I mean, the kids are home for like 2 weeks now, but depending on what happens, I assume they're going to be home a bit longer than that. So yeah, I'm going to make the most of no homeschooling for the next 2 weeks. Again, I know that I am pretty sure I said this before. My gosh, I take my hat off to teachers. I don't know how you do it. I had a lovely lady, I think she said she was a nursery school teacher, and she just gave me a couple of tips and just said, you know, small chunks, kind of like nothing too long, which I know that I said before, I'd kind of overestimated the length of time that my 6-year-old would be able to focus and concentrate for. But, you know, if all else fails, kind of lots of reading. So luckily, she quite likes reading. So, yeah, on those days where her attention is kind of waning, I've just, like, grabbed a book, and we've just then done a little bit of reading. yeah, so that's kind of worked out okay, actually. Let's have a look. Yeah, but my gosh, it's certainly certainly hard coming up with ideas of trying to keep them sort of, you know, in the zone when you're trying to be, you know, homeschooling as it were, because they're obviously not that interested. So I have said to her lots of times, you know, do you do this when your teacher's teaching you? I mean, she's a really good girl, don't get me wrong, but you know, like every now and then she'll just start sort of just drawing on the piece of paper. So we've done lots of trying to learn to tell the time. And we're in the middle of it, and suddenly she's just doodling on the side of the page. So I'll sort of just say to her, you know, do you do this when your teacher's teaching you? And she'll be like, no. I said, well, why are you doing that now then? You know, because this is like being at school. And she just thought about it for a while, and she just went, because it's you. It's like, yeah, because it's me. Why are you doing it? Because it's me. You know, why aren't you just being like you would be at school? She was like, I don't know. So, yeah. But anyway, I mean, aside from that, she has been a good girl. And actually one day, I'd had like FaceTime with my sisters and my mum and dad. And then she had FaceTime with my younger sister's youngest, who's like literally a year older than she is. So they were then FaceTiming like for ages, you know, which was really nice because, you know, again, it was something really nice and positive for her. Oh, I'll just take this in because my gosh, it's made hideous job of this one. So by the time that we finished all the FaceTiming, you know, her FaceTiming and my FaceTiming and everything else, we didn't really do any learning that day. And that night she said to me, oh gosh, this is where I wish I had a scoreboard. Don't get me wrong, if I had a scoreboard, I'd probably not use it very often. So hence I haven't got one, but my gosh, I'm not making a good job of folding this. Too much chatting, not enough focusing. Just exactly what I'm talking about my daughter doing this is. So, yeah, by the time that we finished our FaceTimes, because I was on there for like over an hour, then she was on there for ages, and her and my sister's youngest, you know, her and her cousin, it was so cute. They were playing, like, you know, sliding down the stairs, which I just thought, how cool is that? You know, like they're in different houses, but they're able to play, you know, sliding down the stairs together, which that's so cute, isn't it? You know, really, really nice for them. So, yeah, anyway, by the time that she finished that, we didn't do any homeschooling. And that evening we were at dinner and she said to me, Mummy, we didn't do any of my school today. I said, oh, no, we didn't, you know. She said, oh, you know, we must do it tomorrow. So, yeah, she's obviously kind of keen to stick with it and be doing it. Even if, you know, when we're doing it, it appears that she's then bored. She obviously quite likes doing it. So, yeah, I couldn't have been getting out of it even if I wanted to, because then she was like reining me back, you know. Mum, we didn't do it today. Don't forget, we must do it tomorrow. So, yeah. Anyway, thankfully, school holidays, we are not doing it during the holidays. So I am very pleased about that. Yeah, and obviously it's just lovely that the sun is shining because we can obviously be in the garden. You know, she can go on the trampoline and it just makes such a difference, doesn't it? So, I mean, again, I know I've said this before, I think, but oh, you just really kind of feel, you know, bad for people without a garden whose children are now at home for the, you know, the lockdown thing. And now the weather's getting nicer. Now, if you've got corners that are sort of poking out, you know, your folds are poking out slightly, just snip them in just a fraction, and that would just eliminate that, because it then just makes them lower. So yeah, easily fixed by just doing that. Yeah, I feel so bad for those people with no garden, because being stuck inside, you know, with your children with no garden, I'm sure is like no fun whatsoever. So yes, we're feeling very grateful for kind of everything that we have, obviously. You know, every time like the boys are tempted to moan, not that they have moaned much, but you know, I just kind of say to them, well look, you know, it's not really much of a sacrifice, is it? We're living, you know, in a nice house, we've got TV, we've got, you know, sofas, we've got food, we've got a garden, you know, you've got a PlayStation, you know, like what more can you actually want or need? So, you know, and then they're obviously like, yeah, you think you're right. But of course, you know, like everybody, they're feeling the effects of this, you know, and you know, they're not moaning endlessly or anything like that, but just obviously on the odd occasion when you all start getting on one another's nerves, which, let's face it, is bound to happen, isn't it? Then I just kind of remind them and sort of say, well, you know, this isn't really much of a sacrifice, is it? So they then, you know, stop moaning. Stop moaning. I had a similar conversation with my daughter actually the other day, because she was obviously feeling the effects of it, and I just kind of said to her, you know, look, we're all getting on each other's nerves sometimes, and you know, it's okay to be feeling frustrated and annoyed, and probably you're missing school, you're missing your friends, you know, and all those kinds of things. And of course it's strange to be stuck in with your family, but you know, it's something we have to do. So yeah, she got it as well, but yeah, I mean, in the scheme of things, you just think, well, it's not really much of a sacrifice, is it? You know, if this is what we're meant to be doing, I think there's worse things that could be asked of people. So yeah. Yeah, so obviously my little routine of the whole working in the morning thing and all of that stuff kind of is now a bit more ad hoc, because it's now the school holidays. So, you know, the kids are laying in and things like that. My daughter's not, unfortunately. She's not laying in, but the boys are laying in. So, yeah, it's a little bit more random at the moment, and yeah, not a sort of fixed schedule, whereas we had kind of got into quite a good routine of, you know, I would do my videos in the morning and all that stuff. So now it's going to be a little bit more like all over the place, I guess, you know, because obviously I'm torn between waking the boys up and making them come down for breakfast, and then the other part of me says, oh, let them just lay in for a bit. And I don't know. Anyway, we'll see. Right, let me just check what the time is and what have you. It's only 35 minutes, I think. So we have made a lot of these already, as you can see. I mean, they really are quick and easy to make, which is cool, because of course quick and easy is what it's all about, isn't it? You know, we love quick and easy stuff. Okay, so my daughter's up here now with me, and she's pointing at a headband that she wants me to not fix exactly, but it was a Halloween headband. Sorry, just had to take my cardigan off because it's getting very warm up here. It's a Halloween headband, so it had a great big spider on it with a jewel. Yeah, she's just told me with a jewel, so I mustn't forget to add that bit. Had a big spider with a jewel, and she quite liked wearing it, But I said to her, you know, do you want to wear that? Because, you know, it's not all that great with a spider. So I said to her, you know, let's take the spider off of it. And because it's obviously a comfy one, you know, like headbands. I don't know if anyone's ever worn a headband. Some are really comfy and some aren't. So that one's obviously quite a comfortable one as they go. So she doesn't mind wearing that one, whereas she's got others that she doesn't like wearing because they're not very comfy. So I said to her, well, you know, perhaps we'll take the spider off and we can just stick like a flower on or something in its place. And obviously that was a couple of days ago now, so she's now up here with the headband, pointing to the headband, reminding me that I still have yet to, you know, alter it and stick something else on it. So yeah, I haven't forgotten, sweetheart. So I'll put something else on it. I don't know what, but I'm sure I've got like flowers and what have you that I can, whoops, my teacup. I'm sure I've got flowers and things like that that I can find to stick on, or a bow. No, not stickers, no. Well, because I think they'd just get stuck in your hair and maybe not look so good. Right, so there's another one. So yeah, I really like these, to be honest, and they are obviously very quick and very easy to do. I'll just do another couple with the coffee dyed paper, I think. So I might do a long one. Like that. So it was a lovely weekend as well. It was nice and sunny weather. So we were able again to get into the garden and sit outside. So I might try and do some coffee dyeing this week. I had done some, I think it was that first week that we were in the lockdown, and I'd done a little bit then. I mean, like literally like 10 pages or something, just of the things that I'd printed out, I think. But yeah, I might do a bit more this week because I really should make the most of it whilst the sun is shining, because it's so nice not to do it inside, which just is such a messy job, you know. It just is not really the type of thing you want to do inside necessarily. So okay, like that. Okay. And just trim that down. So I've been trying to get on top of things, you know, in the house, like if there's like anything broken and things like that. Like one of our doors had like a strange hinge thing happening, or something strange, you know, happening with the hinge. So my eldest son was very kind and managed to repair that. I mean, it wasn't hanging off its hinges or anything like that, but you know, like when you closed it, there was something weird going on with the hinge. So anyway, he fixed that. And the like what do you call those things? It was called an X5. It's like an electric mop thing, floor cleaner. So yeah, he also looked at that. To be fair, I'm not too sure whether he actually did fix it, but something weird was going on with that as well. So he was looking at that. And yeah, just seems to be that time for things breaking at the moment. But anyway, he was looking at that, and hopefully he's fixed it. I don't know whether he has. And then he was mucking about with my husband. So my husband was doing something out the front of the house, and then the door blew shut because we'd obviously been in the garden with the back door open. So he came to go back in, or come back in, rang on the doorbell, And my son obviously thought it would be funny to be like, you know, not today, thank you. I mean, to be fair, I do things like that kind of all the time, so I'm probably where he's got that from. But he thought it would be funny to be like, oh, not today, thank you, and, you know, wave his hand through the letterbox and all that stuff. Mucking about, and then he obviously broke the letterbox. So, yeah. Obviously, he was a bit in the doghouse. You know, my husband saying, oh, you know, where are we going to get another letterbox from now? And I said, well, it probably doesn't need a whole new letterbox. It probably just needs like the spring. So at the moment, we're kind of having to bodge the letterbox at the moment. But I think he's ordered a spring from Amazon, but of course they're like on a sort of slower delivery now. But yeah, obviously he was a bit in the doghouse for doing that. So I mean, it's our original front door, so the door is dating from, you know, the house was built in the 30s, and the letterbox, I mean, it certainly looks the original one. I don't know whether definitely it is, but it certainly looks it. And I did say, well, how have you broken that? You know, that's been on that door like for near on, you know, 90 years. How have you broken that today? But anyway. Right, let's count up how many we've done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Whoa. I mean, I thought they were a pretty quick thing to make, but yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it? So obviously you can see they're quite fat to store, but providing that you make sure all the folds are in, then they would store, you know, quite flat then, if you see what I mean. They only become puffy when the flaps are out. So yeah, just make sure that they're squashed in and they'll be fine. So let's decorate one up. Let's do this tall skinny one. I don't think I've ever done one of these in a tall skinny design before, so I thought that would be a fun one to do. So let's move that out the way. Now again, I'm just looking for what rubbish I have got laying about on my desk. So let's pull in. Right, I've got some new printable bits in my shop. Well, hopefully they're in my shop. I've created them. I've been working on them for the last few days, and yeah, I've got quite a few new things, but at this moment they're not in there, but hopefully they will be by the time this video goes up. Just depends if I get time to put them in there. But so I've got these, I'm sort of thinking they're like ephemera extras. They're like little grungy ephemera extra pieces that I just thought would be quite useful and handy for using. So I thought that might be quite nice on here. And then I've got my inked inches as well, which I thought might be quite nice on here. So let's just see, maybe even just a typewriter one. Now I've been playing around with other papers, so yeah, using this time to have a play with other sort of papers and things like that. So here, this is photo paper. Now I thought I had ordered matte photo paper. Turned out I'd ordered glossy photo paper, which at first I thought, oh, I'm not sure how I'm going to use that, but actually I'm quite enjoying it. So I've printed off a few of my new things in glossy photo paper at the moment, and I shall be continuing to play around with it all for a few days and yeah, see what I think. It's quite nice to kind of do some other stuff, isn't it? So having the glossy finish, it's just something, you know, making it a little bit fun. I'm just going to open a new glue. Whilst I'm doing this. Okay. Oops. So I'm just going to glue this piece down first. So excuse the back. Again, this is another one of my new printables on the back of here. That again, hopefully will be in my shop the same time as all the other new bits that I've got. But, you know, again, no guarantees. But hopefully everything will go in the shop. I'm hoping this afternoon if I get time. Just depends kind of on everybody else really, whether I get roped into doing other things. Hopefully not too much. Right, now I've also got some blue bits on this sheet. I mean, obviously, as you can see, I've got a few different colours, but I'm very drawn to the blue stuff. So I also have printed this out on some glossy paper as well. I get quite a lot of people ask me what paper I use, and I have said a few times in comments lately, I'm actually experimenting with paper at the moment because the paper that I always did use, they've kind of changed it. And so I'm at the moment trying to find, you know, some alternative paper types that I'm happy with. Yeah, so this was just a photo paper from Amazon. I have to say yeah, although at first I thought, oh, it's glossy, what am I going to do with that? It's absolutely gorgeous. The copies just turn out really brilliant on the glossy paper. So I would never have really chosen to use glossy paper before I thought to use it, but it's actually pretty nice. Right. Ah, that's so nice, isn't it? Kind of wondering whether I need something bigger on there than this inchy. I might have to. So, right, let's just glue a couple of other bits down. So, just glue this piece down in the background, like that. Oh, now it's really annoying because I've got none of my 3-in-1 still. So, I looked the other day, they still didn't have any on Amazon, although I haven't looked for a few days, so I probably should have another look because it may be that they have by now. So I'm going to glue this down here, even though it may react with this glue, with the coffee. It will be hidden from that, you know, by that book page. So then I'm just going to take this piece here and glue that down here. Okay. Okie dokie. Right, now, yeah, I'm thinking that's probably a little bit on the small side. So I've got some of my, oh, when I said that, no, can I find them now? Maybe not. Oops. Some of my Curator's Collection pieces here. So just have a look. That one. Oh, I've got some flowers. Oh, I'm not sure. Actually, I quite like both. I don't even mind them layered up, weirdly enough. I know, strange, but I just spotted in my little pouch here a green stamp, which of course I wasn't really intending on using, but it was just in that pouch and I thought, oh, like that'd be nice to add a bit of colour on there. I mean, I could just do the colourless thing, or we could be bold and go for some colour. The thing is, I'm always drawn to colour, and then I read comments, and obviously, you know, most people perhaps are not as drawn to colour as I am. yeah, and I must try and remember that, because, you know, I kind of gung-ho and put things down, and then lots of people kind of say, oh, I preferred it without the this or the that, you know. But it's just because I love colour, so I'm like, oh, let's pop some colour on here, you know. Oops, now mucked this up a little bit and made it very brown. Oh, it had glue, look. Oh well, never mind. I'll just go around the edge a little bit of the actual pocket itself. Yeah, these ephemera extras, they're quite grungy, I think. You know, they lend themselves quite to a grungy style. But hopefully they will be fun. I'm just wondering, because there are some green bits in the collection. So I'm just wondering if this stamp is a little bit too bright, then perhaps I could use something from here, which is a bit less in your face, you know. So if I use this one. Should really check the time in a minute, because I now feel like I've been filming possibly for ages. It's weird, isn't it? It goes from like, oh, I've got plenty of time, to suddenly it's like, oh, where did that time go? Oh, that's quite nice, isn't it? It's just a little bit more subtle than the bright green of the postage stamp there, which was, you know, maybe a little bit too bright. Let's just pop this down. Okay. And hopefully that would just help hold that doily down a little bit more as well. There we go. I mean, to be honest, could put that on some sort of lace type stuff. Oh, come on. No, what's that? Okay, so I've got this lining stuff here again from that old top of mine. Oh, that's really nice. So, right, again, obviously I don't have my 3-in-1, so just going to have to be a bit gentle with this. Because when I've been using this recently, I've been obviously gluing it with the 3-in-1 and then tearing around it. So now I'm gonna have to be a little bit more careful. Okay. Hopefully this has worked okay. Oops, it looks like it's a bit small now. Oh well. Oh well. Let's just go for that. Like that. Okay, so I'm just going to hot glue this down. Like that. And then just going to hot glue this on, just because obviously it's going onto that fabric. So I just want to make sure it's just stuck nice and quickly. You know, and I'm not having to then hold on to it for too long. There we go. Okay, so there you have it. Top loading pocket there. That you obviously would then just glue down on your flaps here onto your page. Oops, like that. And you'd have your top loading pocket there. So yeah, really easy peasy, and just, yeah, really like them. So that's how that would look on a page, and you'd obviously have your top loading pocket piece there. Obviously, again, I mean, you could put a thumb hole in this. Should we do that? Let's just like that. Okay. So love how that looks. I might just quickly ink up along the top. Can never quite leave it. Okay, there we go. So I hope you all had fun. I hope that you managed to make lots of the pockets yourselves. And yeah, I hope that you'll join me next week for some more mass making. And yeah, have a good week, everyone. I hope that you all stay safe and it's all, you know, all going well for everybody. So thanks very much for joining me, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks then. Bye.